And theme song goes here. Up to the, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. I'm not live creating a theme song. I'm not that musically talented or at all, really.
Is it recording? You didn't give us a thumbs up, RJ.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to know? The red light isn't on, and the live
we go out the
recording sign
reflection.
isn't flat.
We go out the we go out the reflection from his glasses and just hope to catch it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Three Hacks in a Podcast.
3 hacks in the
Or
podcast.
in a movie.
3 hacks in a movie.
Three
Three Hacks in a Movie podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
We're
Because
still
we watch
workshopping
movies.
yeah, because we watch movies. Yeah,
And we're hacks.
3 hacks in a movie. We are self-proclaimed hacks.
Work hard for
And
that
I like
title.
that, actually. Yeah, so if someone tries to call us a hack, we can be like, thank you, you know? Let's quickly introduce ourselves again, because obviously not everyone's going to know who the fuck we are, or anyone's ever going to know who we are, but
Yeah,
I'm
who are you
Emilio.
guys? Who are you guys?
Yeah, well, this is my house, so I should be asking that question. But I'm Emilio.
RJ.
Bentley.
All right, guys. So, again, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. If you are looking for a spoiler-free podcast, I don't know what to tell you because I don't listen to those. So, good luck with that. But
Imagine trying to talk about a movie without giving anything away. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah,
like,
for
if
real,
you're
like-
wanting to know about a movie, watch it, and then maybe listen.
yeah,
to
yeah, you definitely shouldn't be listening to
Podcast.
movies or like watching movie reviews before you watch the movie because you're definitely gonna get spoiled either one thing or everything. So there's really no point to that system. So today's movie is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, directed by David Fincher. Like, you know, probably my favorite director.
This is the second David Fincher movie, actually.
Yeah,
Last one
my
picked.
last one was The Game.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been on a Fincher kick, if you will, recently. It's been a few years since I've seen this movie, but I do end up somehow watching it every couple of years. Honestly, I just love it so much. So this is David Fincher. He did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is based on a book series of the same name. Well, the first one is this, and then it's The Girl Who Played with Fire, or The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and then The Girl Who Played with Fire. I might have got the order of the second and third wrong, but I think that is the correct order of it.
You can just Wikipedia, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's doing right now.
I'm not as fast as Jamie.
Yeah, not as fast as Jamie. Yeah, we don't have like 8 monitors, like, or whatever.
The girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl who played with fire, and the girl who kicked the hornet's nest.
Right,
So we just
okay,
had it
yeah.
reversed, yeah.
Yeah, so it is, it's a...
This is the first in the series?
This is the first in the series. It's a trilogy. It was written by a guy named Stieg Larsson, who's, you know, if you don't know by the name, Swedish. There is a Swedish film series of the same name. We haven't seen those, but we might actually watch them just because they actually got made. And to those who don't know, unfortunately, this trilogy was never finished, which is a true shame because this movie is absolutely fantastic. And I was so excited for the rest of the movies, and it just never came to light, unfortunately.
This does feel like a nice close-ended thing.
It-
Like,
like,
if
it
you didn't
could
know
be-
that there was
yeah,
other sequels.
that's true, yeah.
Like, I didn't really realize that there's other sequels when it ended, and I was like, okay.
It is. It kind of is crazy because a lot of the time when a sequel is intended, they kind of obviously like leave something open ended for a sequel. Like they let you know, like, oh yeah, it's very much possible that there will be another one. And then this one, you really can take it for a standalone, which is nice. But my thing is, like, I want to see more of these characters, like, in action, working together, learn more about their past, especially, obviously, Lisbeth, which is, you know, the titular character. Unfortunately, the series just never finished, which is crazy, because David Fincher openly says that he doesn't like doing sequels. He did Aliens 3 because that was, like, his first major project that they offered him, but it's not like he really wanted to do it, you know? But when he got the tap on the shoulder to do The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I don't know if he like read the book before or then that's when he decided to read the book, but he was willing to, I think, direct the whole trilogy, which is crazy because again, like he doesn't like doing sequels. So the fact that you were gonna get this guy to do 3 of them would have been absolutely insane. But unfortunately, you know, I don't live in the timeline where this happened, and you know, it's just it's a damn shame. One of the greatest trilogies to never be made, unfortunately. And yeah, So quick synopsis on the movie. It's about so it's starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. 007 for those who don't know, or the guy from the Sullen detective from fucking Knives Out and Glass Onion or whatever. Cowboys and Aliens, blah blah blah. Yeah, like he's done a lot. Rooney Mara, she plays Lisbeth Salander, which is the titular character. I don't know much of what she's done. I know her from a small role in Youth in Revolt, which I did like her in. Oh, yeah, she was in The Social Network, right?
Social Network.
I think that was because that was before Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So
also Fincher.
Yeah, and that was also Fincher. So yeah, that's where they worked together, and I'm sure that's why he wanted to choose her, or he thought she was like perfect for the role.
She also did the Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 version.
Okay.
And
Good on the Two Strings. Actually, I haven't seen that movie, but I know that movie.
Not much else.
Oh wow,
I recognize.
I think Side Effects is one of the only other ones I've heard out of that.
Nightmare Alley. That was Guillermo del Toro.
Oh right, yeah, okay, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe she's just super picky with her roles, or they just weren't coming in. I don't fucking know. I'm not her agent. Yeah. So quick synopsis. Daniel Craig plays a character named Mikael Blomkvist. Blomkvist. And he's basically like a disgraced journalist. He did this piece on this whatever Swedish billionaire, and he was tying him to like some crazy stuff. Like I think just like organized crime. And in the beginning of the movie, you see him basically like there's like news playing of him that he lost a court case because the guy he did the piece on countersued and won, and I guess he was found guilty of libel. So he basically lost all credibility. He was going to lose all his money. He was a co-editor or whatever at this newspaper, and so he kind of was like, you know what, I'm just going to go away for a while. And then he basically gets approached by a billionaire who knew the guy he was doing the piece on, and he's like, no, you're right, you just can't prove it. And he tells him, like, I need you to do investigative work for me because you really are a good investigator. And he basically hires him to look into the disappearance of his niece, right? Yeah, it would be his niece, yeah. Into the disappearance of his niece from 40 years ago, something along those lines.
1966.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 40 something years ago.
Same year as Buffalo 66. That's
okay.
how I remember.
The way your brain connects things. Yeah. So he approaches him saying that like my niece was murdered 40 something years ago. He was, convinced she was murdered. He had like private investigators, detectives like working forever. None of them can find anything, so he decided to take a different approach and use an investigative journalist to look into her murder. Officially, he's like writing a memoir because he said it's probably one of his family members who all like live on this tiny little island in like some small northern like Sweden town or whatever. He eventually needs help, so he gets the girl who did like a report on him, which he read, and it was very I guess like private to say the least. Like
she's basically a hacker.
Yeah, she's like a hacker, and
I don't
she
think
works
they
for.
Ever necessarily say that explicitly.
No, she's like because
because
she doesn't even technically have an official title at the job. She works at a security company.
Getting coffee.
But they say she gets coffee and whatever, makes copies or whatever, and then it turns out that that's a lie. No, she's a hacker, but obviously you can't just have hacker as a job title at a security company or whatever. So he gets the help of Lisbeth, who's this very like punk rock emo alternative girl, but she's
goth
like
GF.
Yeah, goth GF, goth bae kind of situation. And she's an absolutely brilliant hacker. So, and you learn earlier that she only works on cases that interest her. So he approaches her and tells her like, how would you like to find a serial killer of women for me? And then she's just like, let's fucking rock and roll.
Because she's abused, so you could.
Yeah. I was just trying to give the synopsis of it, like real quick, but about like how they team up and what the overall story is.
Go off, King.
But yeah, I was like, that's not a quick synopsis. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's why I probably should write these things down first. That's just kind of like the overall plot without giving away anything too specifically. Obviously, we're gonna go into the more specifics, but that's just a general description of the plot. Yeah. What does Wiki say, RJ or Google?
There's a lot of.
I'm sure it's not as long as what I just said.
You want the
yeah. I guess if I had to just like whatever, I'd say like an investigative journalist who's basically just lost all credibility teams up with a hacker, like goth punk hacker, to find a serial killer who no one even knew was a serial killer.
You actually weren't too far off. Disgraced financial reporter Mikael Blomkvist.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Finds a chance to redeem his honor after being hired by wealthy Swedish industrialist Henrik Wenger to solve the 40-year-old murder of Wenger's niece, Harriet. Wenger believes that Harriet was killed by a member of his own family, eventually joining Blomkvist with his dangerous quest for the truth is Lisbeth Salander, an unusual but indigenous investigator whose fragile trust is not easily won.
Okay. I like that.
An indigenous investigator?
Yeah.
They're calling him indigenous?
Ingenious.
Oh, there we go. I was very confused by that word, and I was like, I don't think it's indigenous.
No, yeah.
I mean, you're Swedish.
Yeah, indigenous to Sweden, I guess.
Yeah.
Unusual but ingenious.
Oh, okay.
But with that accent.
Yeah.
Indigenous. Now, yeah.
Okay, ingenious. That makes way more sense. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. I like my description too. I'm not gonna lie, but okay.
You can tell right off the bat that there's some fucked up shit going on in this family. Like when they're asking him to, like,
I mean, there's
like
literally like
stuff.
2 Nazis in that family.
Right. And they like.
Spoiler alert: there's 2 Nazis in the family.
That you know of.
Yeah. Oh, that we know of. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta watch the sequels.
Yeah, Henrik, basically the patriarch of the family,
played by Christopher Plummer.
Played by Christopher Plummer, who's fantastic, by the way. He gives, in the beginning when he meets Mikael, he kind of gives him the rundown about his family. But before he even tells him who he's investigating, you're gonna meet the most vile, racist, most disgusting people on the planet, and it's like, I'm only talking about my family, of course. And you're like, oh, okay. And then he starts talking about, look, we got he's a Nazi, and then this guy who, because they all live on this small island in separate houses, and none of them talk to each other. He's like, he's a Nazi, and then the guy over there, he's also a Nazi. He's like, can you believe it? 2 Nazis in one family. And then his sister, she talks to him, therefore I don't talk to her because she talks to him, and no one talks to each other. I think the only one who sort of talks to everyone is probably his nephew, Martin. Jesus, thank you. I don't know why I was blanking on that. Yeah, Martin. He's probably the only one. He's the CEO of the company now and everything. He's hired to. He even tells the family oh yeah, I'm just writing a memoir because everyone's a suspect, including Henrik himself, which is great because he tells them he's like, oh yeah, you live in that house, right? They're like, oh yeah, the person who hires an investigator should always be a suspect as well. But all right, so what do you guys think of the movie overall?
I mean, it's not my favorite Fincher movie, but it was really good. I haven't seen a Fincher movie yet that I disliked.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be at the top of my list.
For sure.
Yeah, I love the characters. Rooney Mara played Lisbeth really well. And then, I mean, Daniel Craig's did really well as
Mikael,
yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
Bentley, this, okay, so RJ, you've seen this movie before,
Yeah,
right?
this is my second time watching it.
Yeah. Did I show it to you the
Yeah.
first time that we watched it? Okay, for sure. And that was like a while ago, though.
Mhm.
I want to say. Okay. All right, and Bentley, this is the first time you've seen this movie.
First time
correct?
virginized.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a pretty powerful movie, definitely. There's a lot of scenes that are pretty hardcore to watch.
Yeah.
At first,
Which
you're like, why are they showing me this?
Yeah, which we will talk about
Oh,
soon. Yeah. There's no way we
Um,
can not talk about certain scenes in this movie.
So yeah, don't like watch it like with your grandma. Probably.
Yeah,
You
unless
know,
your grandma's
don't watch
like
with grandma.
hardcore and like
Yeah.
fucked up too, you know.
Unless
I
she's a
guess.
cool grandma.
Yeah,
But,
unless she's like a cool grandma.
I kind of saw it as sort of a like neo noir.
Okay.
Is a genre of movies that existed in the '60s, which were like a revival of the noir movies, and I feel like this was like neo noir. It was like
Okay.
almost like a
Is this
version.
postmodern neo noir? I'm just saying fucking film terms. I don't even know.
It was really good. It was reminded me. It was reminding me a little bit of like those old noir movies from back in the
Okay.
day. But instead of being a detective, he's like a journalist, I guess. But
Yeah.
really, that's like he might as well be a detective.
Yeah,
in all
I
intents
mean,
and
either way, you're
purposes.
doing investigative work, right?
Right.
Just like on different scales,
Mhm.
I guess, essentially.
But yeah, it hit a lot of those notes that I've seen in a lot of those old movies. Like,
Is there a movie that kind of reminded you of this? Like maybe like not exact plot wise by any means, but just like the overall kind of like theme and feel
Chinatown
and
a little bit, because he's like uncovering something like big about
Yeah.
the town, and like people are like following him and making
Yeah.
sure that he doesn't uncover too much. And once he uncovers too much, it's like he gets stopped. You know, so there's a lot
Yeah.
of similarities. I'd
Yeah,
say,
and that's
that.
obviously like one of the most classic examples of like a noir film,
Right, the neo-noir.
yeah, or neo-noir, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know when noir became neo-noir. Maybe when black and white, and then it got the
Right.
color. I don't know.
Noir would be like M, I guess, which is like that old movie from the 30s.
I haven't seen it yet.
Double
but that's-
Indemnity. That's
which
a
I
really
also
good
haven't.
one.
Yeah, which I also haven't.
That
seen.
one's coming soon. I know that.
Hell yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
when it
enough.
comes
So.
To this podcast.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
for
really
sure.
good take on that.
Okay.
And I loved it. Really good acting. Trent Reznor's soundtrack.
Trent Reznor, bro,
Very
dude,
good,
him and David Fincher together, like you might not
They're a good
like or super care for like the movie in general, but you can't deny the scoring. Like when Trent Reznor and David Fincher work together, man.
But yeah, their styles work really well together. Because I think even when I watched the game, I said that Fincher's style is kind of dilapidated and kind of like run down, and the walls are kind of like stained and like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like shitty looking. And Nine Inch Nails music, Trent Reznor's band is a lot like that.
Yeah.
and it pairs together like perfectly. I think.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I don't know. Maybe David and Trent really just kind of share a similar aesthetic. For those who don't know, David Fincher actually got his start doing music videos. He did that for quite a while before he was offered to finally do like a real big movie. I don't know if he's ever worked with Nine Inch Nails. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they met. Maybe doing a music video for them or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think obviously like Trent didn't start working with David right away. I'm sure it wasn't until maybe Fight Club. I don't know. I would think Fight Club is his first movie, and if not Fight Club, it was probably The Social Network. But
I should know this, but yeah, I don't know. What,
yeah, but they worked on they worked definitely on a few projects together. I think ever since probably like except for Mank, I wouldn't be surprised if Trent has scored all of his movies since when they first started working together. This movie though, it's so funny because in our episode of The Game, we were talking about how he made San Francisco like this very like bright and vibrant city, just like this kind of dark underworld. Like he really showed like the dark like underworld like hellscape that you don't see in everyday San Francisco. But then this movie is based in Sweden, and I mean I've never been to Sweden, but I always hear about kind of how dark and like kind of gloomy it almost is because they don't get like a lot of sun or whatever. So it seems like it's like Seattle, I guess, like Seattle, Portland, like kind of like Seattle, Portland, where like there's a lot of rain, it's dark, people are kind of depressed because they don't get a lot of sun or whatever. So I felt like Sweden just kind of already had the aesthetic that that David was going for. That there's kind of like dark undertones, and some people are happy, but it seems like most people are just kind of like I don't know, just like living day to day, I guess.
Yeah, he really showed off the winter feel and look of the whole thing. Like it just looked cold when you were watching it.
Yeah, some of those winter scenes were like pretty harsh. I was like, damn, like that looks like that would really fucking suck to live in. But yeah, dude, it was like never really like sunny in this movie, except for like
not really.
Yeah, except for like the flashback of like when Harry disappears. Essentially, like that's like the brightest you're gonna see it. And then, if you guys have watched David Fincher movies before, you definitely know he really likes dark undertones. Like the man just does not like bright color. And then, but that's the thing is, when you see an even sort of bright color, it really stands out. Like I remember the first time you see a Coke can in this movie, I just kept thinking like, this is really standing out in the scene right now. Like everything is so dark, and the Coke can, it's like, I mean, it's kind of bright red, but not super bright red. And I was like, dude, I can't just stop staring at this fucking Coke can right now.
That's good product placement.
Yeah, it's great product
It really
placement.
makes you
Yeah,
notice it.
obviously this movie was sponsored by that. McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's for hat.
McDonald's.
Yeah. And did you notice specifically that it was a kid's meal?
Yeah.
Every single time she was eating
I didn't
it.
notice it every single time. I noticed it at least one time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we only see her eating it twice, maybe 3 times, and both times she was eating a kid's meal. And then, I mean, obviously she has like an eating disorder. I know she said like, oh, I just like have like a super high metabolism, but you know, he offers her food, she's like doesn't really eat it, and when she does, she barely eats like any of it. Which I mean, if you see the movie, she's a pretty like fucked up person. You can tell she definitely had like a fucked up like upbringing and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if she obviously has an eating disorder, essentially.
She definitely looked anemic in this movie.
Yeah,
that's
she's
not to
very-
diss her. Like
yeah.
that is the character.
Yeah, she's very slender, I guess is like just the way to say it. But it's kind of crazy because like Rooney Mara also has just kind of that natural aesthetic. So I don't know if she lost weight for this movie, but I would be surprised if she didn't. Like she just kind of already fit the body type of Lisbeth, which in the books I think she is described as a very like slender, like, you know, obviously petite. She's still pretty short. Not pop punk, just like very punk emo. Like has tattoos, including a neck tattoo. Doesn't wear gauges, but she has like big like black earrings, and then her hair, like literally the opening
are
shot,
chopped with like Crayola
yeah.
safety scissors, probably.
I would think if she like could lay out her bangs on the table, she just got like a butcher's knife and just fucking like in one single chop,
A
just
guillotine,
fucking yeah,
like a
like
goth
she like
guillotine.
made her own like little guillotine, yeah.
For her hair.
Yeah, and like the first time you see her too, her hair is put up in a mohawk.
Yeah, she has
yeah,
a
right.
mohawk, yeah.
True.
Which I mean,
She's probably always changing like her style.
yeah, she never. I mean, either her style is always gonna be black clothes, essentially.
I mean, maybe that was a
but-
new thing. Maybe like when you see her in the movie, maybe like that whole goth look was like a new thing she was doing. And, like, she's just always
workshopping
changing.
something.
Yeah.
You know, like she just is that like sort of Ramona Flowers type who's always like.
Oh, I color my hair a lot, or I change my hair a lot, or whatever.
Because you were saying in
Is
the
that a
book,
problem?
her hair is originally like red, right?
Well, it says that she's originally a redhead, but
Originally a
she
redhead?
dyes her hair black.
Huh.
Yeah. So I think
But maybe she dyes her hair red, and then
and she just throws everyone off.
Yeah, just throwing everyone off. You know, you never get to figure her out.
Yeah, I will say though, I mean, I kind of liked her with the mohawk. I'm not gonna lie, like not a lot of girls can pull that off, but like if you're obviously into that like punk girl aesthetic, this is probably like one of the punk girl aesthetics that like, or like punk girlfriends that like most people want, if that is something that you want. But yeah, man, this
And
movie
deserve, all right.
and deserve, yeah. Go off, King. you deserve that punk girl, dude, who obviously has daddy issues on
And is a great,
so many different levels.
and is an amazing hacker.
An amazing hacker, right? Yeah. I'm sure that's a very specific vibe that people go for now. Like after watching this movie, like, yes, give me this girl. Probably went to like an Apple store and tried to chat up that goth genius girl that works there. And then just kind of go from there. But yeah, so this movie, to anyone who hasn't seen it or has seen it, this movie is fucked up in so many different ways, on so many different levels. It's a really, really shocking movie for those who don't have like a strong stomach. There's obviously one scene in particular that I actually remember. My brother told me I think he saw this movie with someone, and she actually had to walk out of the theater. Or I think his friend told her that she went to go watch it, and she had to like leave the theater during that scene.
It's a very like explicit scene, and at first you're wondering like, why are they showing me this? Because in a movie you can kind of imply that something horrible happens without showing it, but in here they show you it like beginning to end close up. It's a really bad rape scene. For those wondering, it's pretty explicit.
Yeah, I'm sure you could have like maybe you couldn't put it together right away, but. Yeah, man, it's pretty dark, and I think that is kind of like David Fincher, where like, I mean, if he's implying something, I think it's because sometimes like he wants to, push the story forward without just telling you exactly what's happening, so he kind of wants you to fill in the blanks a little bit. But he's also a very like visceral person. Like if you've seen like Seven, it's a very like graphic movie. Gone Girl has some very fucking graphic scenes. Obviously, nothing like this. But he's a visceral person. Like he's not afraid to show like those hard to watch scenes. And
at first, it seems like he's just doing it to be shocking. I felt like
wow, okay.
I was like, oh, he's just doing this to like just show something really fucked up. And I was like, almost kind of like, what? Like I'd rather if he just not showed me that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a reason he did.
Yeah, it. I think if it didn't lead into like, I think if it didn't lead into the other parts where, So what happened is basically Lisbeth, she has like a guardian. Even though she's 23 years old, she's a ward of the state, which basically means like the state still kind of controls her finances because they deemed her too incompetent and like has like too many like antisocial problems for her to watch her own money, essentially.
She tried to kill her dad.
Yeah, well, thanks, Belly. I mean, that was literally like at the very end of the movie that she reveals that.
This is a
spoiler free.
Yeah, I know. I'll just right into it, but
spoiler free.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know we were gonna mention it, obviously, like at one point, but yeah. So, but one of the first scenes you see of her is she goes to like her guardian, the one who's in charge of her finances, but he has like a stroke or something. It sounded like a stroke. They just use like the technical term or whatever. So then her finances then have to be controlled by an actual government employee. And he's this kind of like 6'2", 6'4", very like overweight man. Like like he has like a huge fucking gut. And I mean, yeah, he's just kind of like, and you kind of see him and like, you don't think like, if you just looked at him, you wouldn't think he's creepy, but obviously with like the music and the ambiance, you're kind of like, yeah, there's something just kind of off about this guy. But yeah, so he puts himself in charge of her money, and he's like, if you ever need anything, like give me all your receipts, and we'll like reimburse you. But I'm gonna be the one controlling your finances. So if you ever need money, you're gonna have to come talk to me, and you don't talk to anyone else. And you're like, okay, like whatever. And then later, so she needs money, so she goes back to him, and, he's like, well, we need to work on your social skills or whatever. So he's like, here, like, let's role play. And he, like, grabs her hand, reaches out for her hand, and then she makes him feel his pants. He says, like, oh, it's Gara, something. I don't remember the fucking, like, material or whatever. And then, you don't see it, but he moves his hand, like, off camera. He moves her hand off camera. And you just hear him say, like, unzip it. And then he's like, well, come on, So she starts, like, stroking it. And then you see him grab her head. And, she just starts, like, blowing him. And he gives her the check for, like, the money that, she wanted. So you're like, oh, great. Like, off to a great fucking start with this movie. Because I think that was, like 30 minutes in, maybe? I don't know.
It was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was pretty early on. So you're like, oh, dude, like, this sucks, because it seems like she was very close to her guardian, and now she has, like, this fucking creep of a fucking dude, like, controlling her money, and it's like, oh, great. And then later, she has to come back to him a lot sooner, because she, her bags tried to get stolen, and it was almost like her shit was broken, so she's like, great, I gotta go talk to this guy again about money. But she decides, like, you know what, like, I'm gonna, like, set him up, essentially, so she puts like a hidden camera on her bag, and she has to go to his house to ask for money again. And you think like, oh, like maybe he's probably just gonna like make her blow him again, and then boom, grabs handcuffs, fucking, grabs her, chokes her out. It fades to black, and it comes back, and you can see that like she's like completely chained up to the bed, and Yeah, so you see like he starts like ripping off her clothes, and she's like, he like gags her with her shirt, and it's like she's like screaming. You can tell it's like she's like trying to like wiggle out like as much as possible. And then I don't know why, like I don't know if this is in the book or Fincher was like, how can I make this scene even more fucked up? And you can see he's like about to put a condom on. He's like, oh, I forgot to ask. It's like, do you like anal sex? And she starts screaming even harder after that, and it's just it was fucking rough, dude. Like,
Yeah, it was a really rough scene.
yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, this like I don't even know what watch this is for me, but even now, I was still like, damn, dude, this is fucked up. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen this. It's not in like the double digits, I don't think, but even now, like years after watching this movie and multiple times, I'm still like, yeah, this scene is fucking rough, dude. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it, honestly. It's probably one of the hardest to watch scenes I've seen in movies that like aren't like where the intention of the movie and the scene is to like really fuck you up. But
I feel like a lot of times in those kind of scenes, they'll cut away from a lot of the horribleness and then kind of like have the viewer kind of like.
Yeah, like
they'll imply it enough to where the viewer has a good idea of like what's happening. But here they just show you like there's no work on the viewer or anything that they have to guess of what's happening.
In the words Dennis Reynolds, it's the implication, you know. Like, but Fincher is not that kind of guy. He's like, no, I'm gonna show you like how fucked up this really can be, and I can't even imagine what it took to actually film that scene. I remember reading an IMDb fact, and I believed it until I found out that like anyone can just submit facts on IMDb. It was like basically fucking Wikipedia. That the guy who did the scene, the guy who like rapes her in the scene, he said like something about like after filming it, he had to like self-isolate because he got traumatized essentially from filming that scene. I never got to look into confirm it. That's something I should probably do. But yeah, so Bentley, you mentioned that like, when you first saw it, you were thinking like, why are we watching this? You know, like is like Fincher just trying to like get a rise out of the audience? You know, like,
right?
But
and I feel like he could have like edited it, or just like he could have not shown it, but then.
Yeah, so tell us why he showed us the scene, or like you know what happens later. That was like okay.
It makes you like mad watching it. It makes you want to see this guy like eventually get killed. You know,
right?
And that's kind of like what it leads into. Like she eventually like.
What does she do, dude? Tell
so she goes for round 3 of asking for money, I believe this time.
Yeah,
and this is after she like comes in, and as soon as the door closes. He's like, I'm sorry about what happened last time.
Yeah. He doesn't even say sorry. He's like, oh, I don't like how we left things.
Right.
Which I'm like, what is this dude, man? Like, holy shit. Like, it's not an apology. It's not sorry. Which, I mean, can you really, truly apologize for something like that and mean it? Obviously, probably not. But
the viewer is, like, begging, like, just kill him.
Yeah.
You know? Because they saw that scene. You know? So, like, really does, like, make the watcher want them to die, I guess. Which is pretty powerful. So yeah, she goes in, she closes the door, and then she has like some taser that just knocks his ass out like immediately.
I think she gets him like in the neck or something like that, and he's just like fucking poof. He's a big dude, so he just fucking he hits the ground pretty fast.
So like she ties him up on the bed, same way that he did to her, and then she puts something up his butt.
It's like a giant
I don't know what it is.
It's a giant like metal rod.
It's a metal rod? I didn't know if it was like a knife or like...
No, it's a metal rod. Like I don't think I saw any sharp edges. It's like a metal... I don't know if it's a metal rod like sex toy that's supposed to be like for pain and pleasure, or it's just like some metal rod that she has essentially. But
so gets him up the butt with that.
Yep.
And then gets a tattoo gun that she brings. Mm-hmm. And then tattoos like rapist pig or something.
I am a rapist pig, like on his like chest and the stomach. Yeah.
No, it's just a good move, honestly.
Yeah. She also reveals to him that she secretly recorded the last time that they.
Right. And you can see a camera in the.
Yeah. She sets up like a little monitor, like a TV, and it's just like this snap. It's not a snap. It's a fiber optic camera. Like I recorded our last thing. Like I thought you were gonna make me just blow you again, which is disgusting enough, and I was gonna use that to blackmail you. But like now I have this, and so she's talking about like, if I get ran over, this
Then
goes on.
switch.
Yeah, like if I get ran over, this goes on the internet. If you run me over, this goes on the internet, and like it'll spread like a virus, which is like holy shit. And like I kept thinking like, wow, like I get it because that's obviously gonna like destroy his life. He's gonna go to jail and fucking probably like die in prison or whatever. But like she's also willing to like release her own rape, like which I remember just thinking that I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like she like obviously like I get it. She wants to like if she needs to destroy this guy's life. But I remember just thinking that I was like, wow. I was like, I thought you would have just like showed it to like the police or you know his family or whatever. But she's like, no, I'll fucking post this shit on the internet to make sure that you can never get away from this
She
or
seemed
whatever.
pretty like calloused by her past abusers. Like when she makes him watch it, she like she puts like the tape in the TV and like makes him watch it basically, and she's just smoking a cigarette and just like talking. She doesn't care while it's playing.
Yeah.
And she's screaming and stuff. You can tell she's just like hardened to that probably entirely. So.
Yeah, you can definitely
you
can definitely tell like because again like you don't find out at the very end like why she was a ward of the state, but just her demeanor and everything, you can tell she like came up from a fucked up life and a fucked up childhood. Because I mean, when she was like forced to blow the dude, like she was just kind of like ugh, like that sucked, like that was gross, but she wasn't like traumatized by it. So you just know that something in her past was like either just as bad or probably even worse. And then I mean the way she interacts with most people is very like standoffish, so you know she just doesn't really trust people, I guess. Like I think like Fincher really trying to make sure that you kind of pick that up, that yeah, she doesn't like to work with anyone. She doesn't let people close, and you know she kind of pretty fast like hooks up with someone like after that happens. So you're kind of like, oh, you would think this person would be like traumatized, like truly traumatized from rape, doesn't want like any kind of intimacy with someone, and then like I don't know, a few days later, a week later, she goes to a club and hooks up with a chick, which I mean to her is probably like safe, you know, like she's not worried about some dude like taking advantage of her or whatever. Well, yeah, so fuck that guy, you know, yeah, dude, like that, and fuck Fincher for making me watch that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, man, that it's like one of the most visceral things I've ever seen, dude.
It's
like,
hard to get
like,
through.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like again, like my brother had a friend who like had to like leave the theater because, I mean, you know, just putting one and one together, I think she was like assaulted, and I guess it just like brought some shit up, you know.
If you have had that experience, like I'm sure it's actually pretty close to that, which makes it even more disturbing.
Yeah, which
actually.
is even worse. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Dude, that shit was fucking crazy. But it's a powerful scene, and it's a powerful scene for a reason, because when she does get revenge, you want the feeling of, like, not, like, relief, obviously, because it can never be undone, but you want, like, to know that, like, yeah, she got, like, revenge. Like, she owns this dude for the rest of his life, and so he probably, like, fucking eventually kills himself or whatever.
Right. The problem is that, like, he's just going to keep giving her money and...
Yeah. She did, like, a whole thing where, like you're going to let me be in control of my money. You're going to write reports about how well I'm doing. And later she runs in, or she like corners him in an elevator again and tells him, like I didn't like your last report. It didn't make me sound friendly or nice or anything at all. And then she told him, like, you're gonna find a therapist that you can bribe who's gonna say that I'm doing really well socially. And then she also said, and also stop looking at fucking tattoo removal sites. It's like, because the next time I'm gonna just fucking write it on your forehead. Yeah, man, she just owns him for the rest of his life, like, which I mean is more than fair, obviously. Also, I forgot to mention, when she shoved the metal rod up his ass, she kicked it in even further, like, several times after that, and like full on, like, fucking football punt, like, kicked it in, not just like dust, like, you know, she like wound that shit back and fucking like full force kicked it in like twice, you know. And yeah, man, and, like, the dude got his like just desserts, obviously, fucking, and it's probably not even the first time he's done that to anyone. Like, you just know this dude has been probably doing this shit for like a while, you know. Like, no, like, there's no way that was like his first time doing that or whatever. But yeah, RJ, what do you think of that scene? Like, what was your reaction to like when you first saw that scene?
Uncomfortable. It was
Just
very
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you feel good. No.
I would hope not.
Honestly, I'm tired of talking about it right now.
Yeah.
We've been going on
This
like
one
20
scene for a
minutes.
while.
Man.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this movie. It's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, we're obviously done talking about that scene now, but
Yeah, the movie was a lot of Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara staring at their computer. And,
a lot of their work was
staring
done
at
on the computer.
and
Yeah.
staring at pictures.
Yeah.
Black and white pictures in the 60s.
Yeah.
With the sick Trent Reznor soundtrack
Hell
going
yeah,
on in the
yep.
background.
Incredible scoring, yeah, from Trent. Yeah, man, it's crazy though because there's so many like setups in the beginning of the movie, obviously, where I think Henrik says, I think or I know my niece was murdered, and I'm pretty sure it's one of my family members, and I want you to obviously figure out who it is. And then Daniel Craig's character talks to like the lead investigator who looked into it for the longest time, and he's basically like, yeah, like there's no way that she just like escaped. It had to be like a murder, or she just like somehow like made herself disappear without anyone knowing. And so it like really makes you think like, okay, like yeah, someone in her family murdered her. And then
Because there'd be no other because they're on there's like a bridge, which is the only pathway like out of this town, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make note of it a few times in
There's
the
like
movie.
an
like
accident that was blocked
bridge.
off.
yeah.
Right? So like there was no way for her to leave that day. But apparently, according to the
Yeah.
Craig's
There's like
character
this one bridge that'll like lead you out of town, and then like the family themselves lives like on technically like an even like smaller island or like a little peninsula in the small town. So yeah, you can't just like leave. Like that's not like really a thing without like someone noticing or anything like that. But so Mikael, when he goes and talks to the lead investigator, he tells like, oh, we see these initials and these numbers or whatever, and they're like, oh, they're phone numbers, and it's like they don't like there's no connection between these like 5 or 6 people. So they're like, oh, okay. And then Mikael later, thanks to his daughter, figures out that it's actually not just initials of a person, and the numbers are
Bible verses from
yeah,
Leviticus.
yeah. It turns out to be Bible verses and not phone numbers. And like the investigator, he just obviously like never gave that a try, I guess, for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it is very hard to put that together. So that was like a really big moment, like in the case where he realizes like, okay, well now I can read whatever Leviticus and see what that's about. And then he starts seeing like, because Leviticus is like one of the most fucked up fucking parts in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament, I believe. And it's just like nothing but like murder, rape, and fucking like
A bunch of rules.
Yeah.
That like you have to follow. So if you eat shellfish, you get stoned to death or whatever. So there's stuff like if the woman
Yeah.
sleeps with the beast.
yeah,
And they
like
have to
her
kill
and
her and
the
the
beast
beast.
will be put to death. Yeah, stuff like
And
that.
one of the murders in the past in this town was like very similar to that like Bible verse where like there was a cow that was killed and the lady that was killed and the cow's blood was on her. or
on both
something.
of them. Yeah,
So like all these Bible verses that are like mentioned are like
yeah, like
connecting with these past murders. You
yeah,
know?
like and you'll hear like over time you probably heard the term where people say like oh, and like he's gonna punish you like Old Testament style, because if you know anything about the Bible, yeah, the Old Testament is like it's like the worst in time, like the worst times in like human history. It's like when people like murder wasn't like morally wrong, it was just like a thing people did, you know.
Thou
Like,
shalt not kill.
yeah, and but yeah, that wasn't introduced until after the Old Testament, I believe.
That was
Yeah.
Moses.
Yeah, that was Moses. Yeah,
That was
well, from the word
that
of
was
God.
That was like
to
the second
Mo-
book of the Old
yeah,
Testament.
from the word of God to Moses.
But we'll do the Bible podcast after.
Yeah, we'll get some experts on here. I'm sure we can find one or two somewhere around here. But yeah, so like that was like a big break in the case, was figuring out all these are actual Bible verses, and then the initials are actually girls who were murdered, and it like coincides with a lot of the Bible verses.
All their names are biblical as well.
Oh right, yeah. It was like Rebecca.
There's Sarah.
Rebecca, Sarah,
Mary.
Mary, obviously, yeah, Mary was like the most famous one. The only one who didn't have a Bible verse name or a biblical name is
Harriet.
Harriet, yeah.
Who was
the
the
niece,
niece,
the niece that
The
disappeared.
main
that died.
like reason why he's on the island.
Yeah. So
I did see a lot of similarities between this movie and Seven.
okay.
Because of, Seven having to do with the seven
Deadly sins.
Deadly sins.
Yeah.
The killers like mimicking all these like.
Yep.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of similarities there. Plus,
okay, gotcha.
they're both Finchers with Fincher movies with the same dark tones and like
Lez's
very
dark tones,
gloomy scenes and yeah.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, man, I think Fincher was very excited to do this movie, man. Like he read that book probably and was like, hell yeah, like this is like I've been waiting for something like this. Also, a big thing about those names is like, well, because they're biblical, obviously, that also means like that it's like they're Jewish names. Like those are very popular names amongst Jewish girls at the time. Because when they started like more looking into the murders, it was like in the 60s and the 50s. So, a little fast forward, you do find out that Harriet's dad was the one who was actually murdering those girls, and he was a Nazi. So it like kind of just made sense. Honestly, I was like, oh right, or wait, was he a Nazi? Well, yeah, I mean, I think he was a Nazi.
I mean, there's Nazi family members.
Yeah, there's like Nazi family members, so it wouldn't be too surprising that he's like obviously also a Nazi. But yeah, you do find out later that he was the one who murdered those girls, and then but like the murders basically kept happening. Like they were doing more research and they realized like, okay, so he died at one point, but they didn't know he was murdered. They thought like oh, because they said like, oh, he just he was drunk and like hit his head and fell into like the lake or whatever. So they thought like, oh, he just accidentally killed himself, which is like another red herring. It's like another thing where it's like, okay, this is what we know what happened to him, and then later it was revealed that Harriet was the one that actually killed him because one day apparently her dad got too drunk and started bragging about the girls that he's been like raping and murdering and shit like that. So, and then that day I guess he tried to kill her. She escapes and fucking just whacks him in the head with a fucking oar or something like that, like an oar paddle, whatever. But everyone just saw like, oh, head wound. He was fucking drunk as shit. Like he just killed himself. Accidentally killed himself, and she thought she was finally free. And then later we find out. So this is like the big spoiler, obviously. Martin, who's like the current CEO of the company, who's Harriet's older brother, he became the one who started abusing her, and I guess he did it like pretty regularly. And he gets sent away to like whatever, like a boarding school or something. So she thinks she's like finally free, and then one day he comes back and she realizes like, oh, this is never ever going to end. So she basically orchestrates her disappearance with the help of, I think it was like the I know it was like her aunt, right?
I think it was her cousin, the one that was like the closest in age to her, Anita.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah. I don't remember if Anita was like the one who just helped her get off the island and she like worked at the house, or if it was her cousin. But yeah, so her cousin helps her escape. Which we don't find out till the very end because they're like, okay, Martin's dead, and they thought Martin was definitely the one who killed Harriet. But when they confront Martin with it, it turns out that he's like, oh, you're a piece of shit investigator, and so he realized like, oh, so even though Martin fucking murdered and raped all these other girls
and admitted it,
it wasn't, he didn't do that to Harriet. So because he actually got excited about like. He's like, you found her? Like, where is she? And then he's like, you killed her. He's like, fucking piece of shit investigator. Like, you're not worth anything. So you're like, oh, shit. Like, okay. So then they try to figure out, like, well, like, the only piece of the puzzle left is, like, we find out, like, who the murderer is, but, like, what happened to her. And then, so they thought her cousin, Anita, who, like, lives in London and doesn't talk to anyone in the family anymore, either knew who murdered her or, like, I guess that was it, right? They're like, oh, like she's like, or is helping hide her essentially. And then later they're trying to spy on her. It's not working out. And then he finally confronts her and just says that like, I know you're Harriet, basically. And boom, fucking bomb dropped. It turns out that she did like successfully escape, and she's been living in London. for like a while now, and she just never talked to her family again because obviously Martin was still alive, and if he found out that she was alive, he definitely would have fucking kept abusing her or murdered her at this point. Like, who knows? And then there was a crazy scene when like when Martin captures Daniel Craig's character, and like because like he's like unbuttoning his pants and he realizes like, oh, I've never done this to a guy or whatever except my dad, which is like obviously adds to the whole like why he's so fucked up. And I was kind of thinking like, is he going to rape Daniel Craig's character now? Because clearly he rapes all the other women and then murders them. So I was just like, is he gonna rape Daniel Craig's character now? I was like, holy shit, yeah. And then, yeah, that shit was crazy, dude.
Because for him, it was probably like about just like he was like an elite like power business guy. So it's probably just about like being able to have control over people, you know.
And that's what they say about rapists. It's like it's not actually about sex. It's about power. Like you want to feel like you have like power over somebody. That's what like I guess that's like a pretty typical thing in like psychology is what they say about.
I can attest to that.
Like as a psychologist, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it was crazy. Like there's a point where like Daniel Craig character Mikael, like he almost gets assassinated. Like you hear like a gunshot go off and it just fucking like clips his like forehead essentially. Think of the Trump assassination, but instead of his ear, it was like literally like the edge of his fucking the edge of his forehead. So then, you know, he's like, oh shit, runs inside. Lisbeth like helps him out, like cleans him up, stitches him up and stuff. And then that's when she decides, like, for some reason, she's like, oh, I like this guy. Like, I don't know, like I'm gonna fuck the shit out of him, like essentially. Which I was also like, yeah, like yeah, when he survives like an assassination attempt, like she was just so like, I don't know, turned on, whatever. Obviously, like, she was drawn to this guy for, like, some reason, but I remember I was thinking, like, again, like, this girl just got assaulted, like, a week ago. I don't know how long, like, a week or two ago, maybe, and she's already, like, sleeping with this dude who she just met. But there was something about, like, whatever, the adrenaline. It's Daniel Craig. He's a good-looking dude. He's fucking fit, you know? And he just survived an assassination attempt, so maybe it's that whole thank God we're alive sex kind of situation, but... So they finally hook up, and it's funny because he's like kind of like not sure about it first. He's like I think this is a bad idea, and she says something like, yeah, maybe or something, and then but that doesn't stop them obviously.
And he might have been right.
Yeah,
like given the end of the movie, like maybe he was right that it was a bad idea.
Yeah, and then obviously like if the rest of the trilogy ever happened, we probably would have like,
right. True.
We you know later or at the end of the trilogy, we could be like, you know what, that was a bad idea, or you know what, it worked out, but we obviously don't know because none of us had read the books or watched the full Swedish trilogy. So hopefully, you know, it worked out. But yeah, so they hook up for the first time, and it was kind of crazy because I was like, oh yeah, so I don't know, maybe it's all the adrenaline or whatever, and then. It was funny because like I always wondered like why, because Martin is like a skilled hunter and like there's like random like conversations where you pick that up about him, so you're kind of like, oh okay, it had to be Martin obviously, but like why didn't he just kill him? And then when Martin confronts Mikael later, you know, he's like you know what's harder than just killing someone? It's like making it look like you missed. And then he's like, well, I'm still here. Like, you know, Mikael was trying to say, like, oh, like, you were just trying to scare me off. He's like, no, you must understand, Mikael. It's like, you are here. Like, saying, like, that's what I wanted you to do. Like, I wanted you to come confront me because, obviously, I just tried to fucking, like, assassinate you or whatever. And I didn't pick that up until this most recent watch through. So it's kind of cool that I'm still, like, picking up things that I haven't noticed before.
You think he missed on purpose?
He admitted that he missed on purpose.
Yeah, you think that's actually like true?
Yeah, 100%. I think with his like hunting skills, I think he easily could have landed that shot on.
So like he missed on
him.
Purpose, and he knew that would get Daniel Craig into his house.
Yeah.
How?
I think it's either he wanted him to confront him about like shooting him or whatever, or he thought that because he is a hunter, like he still knows how to like. Maybe like stitch people up or something, and so he would have, because the only person on the island who talks to him is Henrik, who's in the hospital at that point, and him and Martin. And up until that point, like obviously he had no reason to believe that Martin was the killer. So maybe he was either he would have gone to Martin's for like to confront like the shooting, or maybe ask him like who else it could have been, or to like maybe he thought he would help him stitch him up because obviously he's like a skilled hunter. So either like how to do shit like that.
Did Martin shooting at him end up getting him into the house?
Yeah.
How so?
So I think Martin underestimated the situation where he thought like he would immediately go and confront him, but it didn't happen immediately. It happened eventually. Mm-hmm. Because obviously he's like when he finally puts it together that it's Martin.
He finds those.
He
pictures.
goes to the house. Yeah,
it's after he's like finds these pictures and connects them. He's like, oh, this guy behind the balloon actually looks like Martin.
Yeah, and he has like the emblem of the school.
Well,
it was like the big thing the other big thing that.
But it's not because he got shot at. Like he didn't even know that Martin shot at him.
Yeah, no. Again, at the time he didn't, right? Because at the time he didn't have a reason to believe it was Martin. Like he doesn't put it together until later, right? Mm-hmm. And Martin doesn't have a reason to believe that he fucking finally put it together that Martin is like a serial killer or whatever, right? So, but yeah, like Martin says, like at the end, like oh, so you misunderstand because I did get you here, like, and so that was saying that like Mikael thought like you missed the shot because you were just trying to scare me off, where he's like, no, I was actually trying to get you to me. So I mean it did work, it just kind of like worked for a different reason, and it was like a delayed effect. Like he eventually went to his house and to whatever do more investigative work,
he was
right,
like,
or something.
I'm gonna shoot at him, miss.
Yeah,
and
clip
then
him.
And then that's gonna incentivize him to like find a picture of me to get him.
I think the picture of me thing is like not a part of it at all. I think you're like connecting that, but I don't think it's part of it at all. I think
that's why he went to the house.
I think he wanted, but
because he found a picture.
But he doesn't know that picture exists.
Right.
Martin doesn't know that picture exists. Because remember, he had to track down the girl in the picture who also had a camera. So Martin doesn't know this picture exists. I think he just wanted either like to confront him for either shooting him, helping him, or it could also be like, I need to push him over here, like to investigate my house, and that's why he clipped him instead of just killed him. He wanted to
end kill him as one of his like trophies.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, and then obviously, because he brought like Lisbeth around, and he says like, "Oh, thank you for bringing her to me." It's like, "Oh, fucking A, dude!" Like, Sweden's just full of rapists, apparently.
I think Michael is a biblical name, at least like the angels, Archangel Michael, I believe.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, totally.
Maybe it fits in that he would want to like kill him with the biblical name thing.
Yeah,
so.
But Martin wasn't the one who did that. It was his dad,
right,
who did the whole like biblical like murders and rapes and stuff. He just like rapes, I guess, like whatever.
But he still has biblical names though, right? Or no?
I don't think so, because he said like because he was just like, oh, I had a girl in that cage and her name was like Irene or something like that, or something with an I, which I'm like, okay, like that's definitely not a biblical name. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, it's getting like close to.
I feel like we're still going over the synopsis.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just kind of like talking about like the overall plot, obviously. All right, so tell me, guys, like obviously besides the fucking like rape scene, like what are things you liked about the movie? What are things you didn't like about the movie? If like obviously anything, but I'm sure there's something. Either one of you.
I liked it. It was like what specifically?
Just like what did you like about the movie, or what didn't you like about the movie?
I like the split scenes where it showed Lisbeth, doing her research in the company's like archive rooms.
Okay.
And then at the same time, it was Mikael putting together the pieces with the Martin photo with the
with the other family members' photos, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Both sides like reaching their climax of like their discovery,
and it
so
was like
kind of
cutting
intense.
it back and forth in between them, and you were at first like there was a scene with Lisbeth where you think she's alone because like everybody else that works there went home. and you see someone in the background kind of like go by, and like or you hear a noise, and then
right,
Elizabeth notices it.
Yeah.
So at the same like it plays it off to make it seem like, because you kind of have a feeling that okay, Martin's figuring something out too, and he's coming along onto it.
Okay.
So it's like which side is he kind of going after? Because at first I even though I've seen the movie, it's been a while and I kind of forgot about it, how it leads up to this. I thought he was going to show up at the company archive at some point,
Gotcha.
you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So it plays it off pretty well, like, you know, building up that suspense.
Yeah.
Kind
of. So the whole when Elizabeth is in there and she hears like whatever like rumbling outside, there's like a few like small like details like that are kind of easy to miss, or like kind of makes you like think about like what's going on, and then obviously towards the end with like the final confrontation with Martin, it kind of like adds up, because if you remember, so in one of the scenes, Mikael, Daniel Craig's character, he comes back to the cottage and he's looking for the cat outside. He's like, cat. You know, whatever. He's like, cat, because, you know, he doesn't want to name it, so he just yells
or he just
cat.
didn't know the name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he just says cat, right? Yeah. But he goes inside and he finds it inside, and he's shocked that he finds it inside.
Yeah,
so he thinks like,
who let you in?
Yeah, who let you in? Yeah.
Right,
so
so
obviously, like, Martin maybe probably did break in or whatever, and you know, the cat just got inside or whatever. And then like another kind of like detail that I noticed that I thought was like super cool, because if we didn't see that, I think we would have a question like, wait, how the fuck did like she get away with this? When he's holding Mikael captive, he tells her like, oh, I told the security guard at the archives to call me when she leaves, so I know when she's gonna get here, and I'll be waiting for her at the cottage.
Right.
But you see when she like figures it out that she just drops the keys off at the security
no
guard. But there's no guard, so there's no guard to tell him that she's on the way. You know. So I think that's why like he was like taking his time with, you know, like torturing him and stuff. Because if we didn't see that, and he just said like, oh, the guard like is supposed to, like, you know, he's gonna call me or whatever. But if we just saw that she just showed up, we'd be like, wait, what the fuck happened? Like, I thought like the guard was supposed to like give him a heads up or whatever. So that's just like one of those like smaller details that I noticed where I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, this is how like she was able to like sneak up on him and like figure out like what the fuck's going on. Yeah, it was cool. Like I love like catching little shit like that. Really helps with like the whole like you really should pay attention, because you don't know what you can miss, and it's just a nice little attention to detail, in my opinion.
There's an interesting part where Martin and the girl with the dragon tattoo are driving on the bridge or whatever, and she's basically trying to run him off the road. Like this is right after he like tortured Mikael, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
and he's like he's trying to leave, probably to like tell like, where do you think he's going when he's like leaving and driving? What do you think he's trying to do? Do you think he's trying to go to his family and try to like make up like a lie or something?
Well,
and say like, hey,
no, because he's going away from the family.
Right.
Like it seems like he's trying to escape the island, because there's the bridge, right? I just think he's kind of just like concussed and fucked up, because he literally did just take a fucking 9-iron to the head, and you see like his fucking jaws like cracked. He's bleeding. He's like, instead of going for his gun, you know, he fucking just like runs away. So he's definitely like fucked up and like not thinking clearly.
They did it was the whole Tiger Woods situation.
Right? Got hit with the 10-iron or whatever.
Yeah.
And then crashed his SUV.
Yeah, crashed his SUV.
And then, so yeah, she basically rears him off the road. He crashes. And then as she's walking up, gun in hand, ready to blow his head off, the car blows up. So like he probably had the car rigged to blow up.
Well, there was a propane tank.
Right? Yeah, there's a propane tank, but there was no fire.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there was. You saw it like burning. And
there was like a small fire, and then
fire on
it. The illumination of the fire. Like,
okay, I missed that part.
I saw the glowing red.
Because I almost thought that like he rigged his car up to like explode if it needed to. Because he's like a big like Jeffrey Dahmer murderer kind of guy.
But we're like no one even no one was like even ever thought that this was like a serial killer situation. Yeah.
So I thought that happened for a moment.
No, yeah, he hits like a propane tank and that explodes.
Then eventually
you actually
blows the fuck up.
It's hard to hear unless you like have the volume way up, but like we watch this with subtitles. You actually do like it does say in subtitles like Martin screaming, but it only happens for like a few seconds because I started like really listening at that point and it cuts pretty fast, so like he probably died.
It's a propane tank like next to him, like he's near.
It's like one of those big
right.
propane tanks where people go and like
that.
fill,
that
or
or,
you know, like
that or like gasoline or like natural gas or something like that.
Whatever, something along those lines. There's actually something cool, because I think I was actually from this fucking video essay about the lessons from the screenplay. Every time you see Lisbeth riding her motorcycle, she always has her helmet on. Until she starts chasing Martin, like she just like doesn't even go for it. She just says fuck it, which is just like a great way of showing like the urgency of the matter. Like every time like she takes her time with like everything that she does, and then this is the one time where she's like, no, fuck it, like whatever, just like doesn't even go for it and just like chases him down like fucking full. Like she has a sick bike. I thought that bike was so sick. It's called like a Honda C3B50 or something like that. But yeah, it's just a cool way to show like the urgency of the matter and how she's just like she didn't even care about her own safety at that point. You know, she's just like, no, this is about fucking catching a fucking rapist, murderer, and saving my friend, fucking Mikael, whatever, however you want to fucking call him. It was this cool little attention to detail, and that's the shit that I honestly usually miss in situations like that. Like if it wasn't for that video that I watched about the movie, I honestly probably wouldn't even have picked it up.
We also forgot to mention the Office Space ending of this movie. Basically,
Oh yeah, and that's not even the end of the movie. That's like the crazy thing, like catching the serial killer, not the end of the movie.
Right.
Finding out what actually happened to Harriet, not the end of the movie. Like there's still like something going on. Yeah. So what happens, Bentley?
Honestly, that part's kind of hard to follow because I'm not the biggest financial like aficionado, but something to do with.
It's like watching The Big Short.
She is a hacker, so she just has the guy like so there's this company who's like it's the company that
the guy who screwed over Daniel Craig's character. The one that he was investigating.
Right.
Yeah.
It turns out that they actually are criminals.
His name was like
and then
Hans
he finds out
something.
through the hacking that they actually are like involved in cocaine.
Yeah, they said like arms.
Yeah,
there's like arms deal. There's like
dealing.
narcotics. So this dude works with like really,
Right.
really bad people. Obviously, yeah.
Really
So-
cool people.
And really cool people, depending on if it's like a Soprano situation.
So then they like break the story to the media, basically, and then I think the girl with the dragon tattoo just hacks his bank account.
The girl with the bleach blonde eyebrows.
yeah, basically like she looks like Amanda Bynes in this, the blonde swig on.
feel
The
like
girl with the Triumph motorcycle.
Oh yeah. Or I feel like if Bentley wrote the fucking the credits to this movie, it'd be like Rooney Mara, the girl with the dragon tattoo,
Right,
instead of Lisbeth
She didn't
Salander. It'd be
to-
like the
to
girl with
me,
the dragon
she's always
tattoo.
the girl with the
Yeah, to
dragon
me she's
tattoo.
the girl with the dragon tattoo, bro. Lisbeth what?
It's like
Salander.
Salander.
Yeah.
Which I kept thinking salamander.
Yeah, that's the
Salamander.
only way I remember it is because I keep thinking it's going to be Salamander, but I remember like no, it's not. It's just Salander. Yeah, man, I get it. It's like Andrew Dice Clay, like that's not his real name. That's like his character's name.
You're telling me his last name isn't Dice Clay?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not gonna remember
Right,
this lady's
shocking.
name tomorrow, so there's no reason for me to
Just
remember.
remember Salamander, but
Girl
it's
dragon
not-
tattoo.
Yeah, it's not.
It's already in
Salamander. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically she hacks his account and is able to go into some sort of like bank, like this like really
She goes to,
fancy
like,
bank where she's
Zurich,
drinking out of a
yeah.
fancy teacup
Yeah,
and stuff.
I think she goes to Zurich first or something.
yeah,
like that.
Zurich,
Yeah,
which is like the financial capital of
yeah, which
Europe.
is like, yeah,
Switzerland.
yeah.
And so like she's able to take the money and put it into 5 different accounts as like bonds. And then she goes to like the bonds trader, I guess, and then converts those bonds into cash. And then she
Yeah.
has like $2 billion, I believe, after that.
I don't know if she converts. No, she says like, oh, I want you to put them into other accounts.
Five
So
separate
Right.
accounts.
yeah,
Five
five,
separate
yeah,
accounts.
Five separate
yeah.
accounts.
Because first she's like,
As
oh, I'm
bonds.
withdrawing all from all or the accounts, like how many? She's like 30 of them. And then she's like, I'm going to convert them into bonds. And then she
Right.
goes to the bonds person. And then she's like, I want these into different accounts. And I think she's just doing that so it like starts raising flags among amongst like financial institutions, because it's like you're not taking out that much money unless you're about to like basically run, you know, like there's and it also looks weird that like you're taking out money to turn them into bonds, and then almost immediately you just turn around and took those bonds and put them back into another account.
So she does that.
Yeah, she does that just to like kind of like raise the red flags and stuff.
Gets away with it. Ends up with like, and she asked for Daniel Craig like for $50,000 before any of this happens, and obviously it's for this like
whatever the
operation
Swedish
she's
equivalents
doing.
of dollars is.
Yeah. So it's the money's obviously so she can do this for all the wigs and the sunglasses.
Yeah. There's a lot of wigs, or not a lot of wigs. There's like, you know, she wears some very expensive clothes. She still puts herself up in a super fancy hotel, like probably flew fucking first class and shit, you know, the entire time.
After this happens, the businessman, I guess, gets killed by gang like
one of the
people,
one of the people that he worked
while he's
with
hiding out. Yeah, so because they were probably like, hey, where's our fucking money?
Yeah,
like, what do you do
this
with
dude
it?
just fucking just fucking like
right. Which you don't see, you just hear about it in news reports.
Which makes sense because like in their eyes, he literally just like emptied out basically all the accounts and was like ready to dip, right? So they're just like, we need to fucking take care of this dude now. So yeah, you can see a news report. It's like, oh, Hans blah 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 whatever was found. Wernerstrom was found. They literally say executed gangland style is the way that they phrased it, which sounds like, yo, mission accomplished. like I'm sure the intention wasn't to get him fucking executed. It was just so like he goes to jail or whatever. But you know, dude's a piece of shit. Yeah, dude's a piece of shit, obviously. So it's like whatever.
And that's not even the ending of the movie. That's not even the
ending of the movie. You're right.
This one movie had 4 endings.
Yeah, it's fucking great, dude. It's like a video game.
The real ending is like this sort of like romance. Do they get together? Do they not?
Yeah.
Like Casablanca, perhaps.
Bentley just did like a ball fondling motion, and I'm not really sure why. But
that means wrap it up.
Yeah. So you see, like, Lisbeth was talking to Michael, like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And he says, like, "Oh, I'm actually gonna hang out with my daughter." And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And you see, whatever, she goes buys him this like super fancy, like apparently very expensive like leather jacket that. Something along that he used to wear because she has a picture of him.
We used to ride his Triumph, probably.
His Triumph bike, that she was very aware that he owned because, you know, he's like, oh, I used to drive a Triumph bike. She's like, yeah, I know. So you see, you know, she wraps it up in a nice box. She writes like a letter. You don't see what she writes in the letter, but obviously this girl isn't a very sentimental person, so you can only imagine it's actually very sweet. And you can see that like she's gonna go like give it to him, but she sees that he's actually like on the date with his co-editor that she already knew, and we already knew that they were already having like an affair. Apparently in the book they also made it clear that her husband is very aware of the situation and just lets him fucking rail her whenever he wants.
They mentioned it at one point in the movie. They say
they said that his marriage, it ruined his marriage, but not her marriage,
right,
is what they said. Yeah.
So they kind of alluded to it, but they didn't outright say it.
Yeah, but like the way I kind of interpreted that was just like he like forgave her, but like maybe like he doesn't know that they're still hooking up or whatever. But in the book, they like just like flat out say it that he lets her have this affair because he doesn't want to lose her, and he's a fucking cuck of a loser because. Yeah, dude, like, you're letting a dude nail your wife, like, you got fucking problems, obviously.
If you think about it
and don't deserve her.
From her perspective, that's very tragic for her because, like, she kind of, like, for the very first time in her life, like, kind of was willing to settle down with one other person after being abused for so long. And then she's finally, like, going to do that and kind of, like, become the trad waifu she always wanted to be.
Oh my god, dude! That would have been the fucking story
and then
right
she
there.
Sees that,
dude.
She's like, "Fuck!" So
yeah, that would have been the true ending where she gives it the whole punk goth aesthetic and turns into a fucking trad wife wearing like
for Daniel Craig,
wearing sundresses in the middle of a field, and she like pops out like 5 of his kids and shit, and she's just like cooking everything from scratch. It was very like heartbreaking, man, because you know the whole movie you're just seeing like she's obviously very like she doesn't trust people, especially men for like obvious reasons. Again,
the first guy she could trust.
Yeah, like this is like the first like real guy. Yeah, because you don't hear about her like hooking up with dudes, obviously, but she's obviously okay with hooking up with girls. Because maybe she's just like, they don't pose a threat, so she's just like more okay with it. But man, it just hurts. And then again, like at the end of the movie, you find out that because he asked her like, why are you a ward of the state? And this is definitely something that I don't think she just gives up this information to just anyone. But she said like, oh, I tried to murder my dad when I was 12. And I set him on fire. Like she's like, she said I got 80% of him before they like put him out or whatever. So yeah, this obviously you can just kind of allude that he was abusing her one way to every way, and so obviously that's where all her problems started. So it just kind of hurt, man. Like that she was so excited to go see Michael, give him this gift, and he lied to her saying that he was gonna go see his daughter or whatever, and she was just hurt, man. And another big thing that I was really upset that I never got to see like a sequel, and because I wanted to see like how they came together again. Like I have no idea like what the other two books are about, like why they started like working together again and stuff like that. I'll probably just I want to read the books, but in reality I'll probably just end up watching the Swedish versions of the movies.
The audiobook, man.
The Swedish audiobook.
So I gotta learn Swedish to listen to the Swedish audiobook. Or it's like a Swedish, or like it's in English, but it's a Swedish accent or something.
It's a Swedish chef.
The Swedish chef from the fucking Muppets or whatever. It's just one of the, he was a Skarsgård. I was like trying to think of famous Swedish people, and I'm like, the Skarsgårds are like the most famous like Swedish
PewDiePie.
people.
And one of them's in this movie.
Yeah, no, one of them is
Martin,
in there. Yeah,
Is Stellan's?
I think it's Stellan. Yeah, I think you're right.
Skarsgård.
I think it's Stellan. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So just kind of overall thoughts about the movie. I love it. It's definitely in my personal top 10. I don't know where in my top 10 because I never actually wrote it out, but it's somewhere in there. Like I love Fincher. I basically love everything he does. Like I'll watch like anything that his name is attached to, honestly. It's a dark, gripping, fucking neo-noir film with super sensitive, fucked up subject matter. It's a very interesting mystery. Like I love a good like mystery story. Like there's so many like red herrings that not too many, and like Fincher always talks about like, oh, what do you say about the game? He's like, how many red herrings can one person take or something like that. I think he gave a specific number, so yeah, like before you turn them off or whatever. But yeah, man, this movie, man, just like I thought the pacing was excellent. There's like, I forgot to say it. That wasn't even the final ending. No, just kidding. That was the final ending. There's like another fucking ending.
Well, there's a credit.
Yeah.
But was there an after credit? Maybe we missed out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like something like it's crazy. Like I mean, the whole story is about trying to figure out who the serial killer is, and they're like, boom, movie's not over. Like movie's not over. Like fucking again, like for 3 or 4 times. But it's a fucked up, interesting story. Great mystery, great noir. Incredible performances from fucking Daniel and Rooney, and Stellan too. That dude, oh man, he played the very like subtle psychopath, which is I don't want to say hard, like difficult, obviously, but I mean it couldn't be easy. And it's a great story, man. Like when I was reading the synopsis, or when RG was reading the official synopsis of it, I was like, damn, that sounds good, dude. Like if I saw that shit on a book jacket, I'd be like, you know what, I might actually pay $12.99 or $4, whatever, how much a fucking book costs nowadays, to read that. That was what all these books. But yeah, man, absolutely love it. One of my favorite movies. Obviously not my favorite Fincher movie, but the dude has like just like such a stellar fucking filmography. Like it's very hard to make them compete against each other.
Yeah, the writer Steve Zaillian wrote wrote the screenplays for a bunch of your favorite movies.
Really?
He wrote Moneyball with Aaron Sorkin.
Oh, no fucking way.
Yeah. He wrote American Gangster.
Fuck yeah.
And he was one of the writers on Gangs of New York.
Okay, that's not one of my favorite movies, but it is a good movie.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about
it. Yeah,
it's New York.
Yeah.
That's a controversial opinion.
No, I think the controversy that most of the opinions come from is literally just Cameron Diaz's fucking performance in that movie.
Gangs of New York.
Yeah, from Gangs of New York, which I get, but I think they gave her they're too rough on her about it. Honestly, it's obviously nowhere near Martin's best work, but it's still a good story. It's a great story, actually.
He also wrote Awakenings.
Oh, I still haven't seen. I still need to watch that.
Robin Williams. I haven't watched it either, but
about the psych patients, right? Yeah.
No.
Or one's a psych.
No, one has a not a parasitic.
Insomnia?
No, he has a disease, like a paralysis type of disease.
ALS,
or maybe like some type of MS or something like that. But
okay.
It's deteriorating his body kind of thing, and Robin Williams plays the doctor that's like working on him.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Apparently one of the screenwriters for Schindler's List.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
The Soul screenwriter.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Hannibal.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Which
I was like, yeah. It's obviously not Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
So yeah.
Clear and Present Danger.
Still haven't seen that, but I've heard great things. Yeah.
The Irishman.
Fuck. Damn, I really like this guy.
Which honestly not a bad movie, just super long and some bad de-aging.
Exodus, Gods, and Red Sparrow, Jennifer Lawrence movie, and Those Who Wish Me Dead. This is his most recent thing.
That's
the Halle Berry.
That's just producing.
Credit, producing. Gotcha. Okay, never mind. I didn't see
that one and Red Sparrow were the only two.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's probably my third. I don't know. I would really have to think about how I rank all the Fincher movies, but
I'd still put Gone Girl and Seven. And Fight Club.
Yeah, to me, Gone Girl,
Zodiac above it.
Yeah, Gone Girl and Fight Club to me are at the top with fuck, dude, it might actually be Gone Girl because Fight Club was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and as an adult, and then I watched Gone Girl and I was like, holy shit, dude! I was like, I think this might take the place. So Gone Girl might be my number one Fincher movie with Fight Club at number 2. And then after that, it goes into more I love The Social Network, but I have to rewatch Zodiac, but Zodiac is probably number 3. And then 7 is probably number 4. But I haven't really thought it out, actually. But yeah, great fucking movie, man. Honestly, I would give this movie, I'm very biased, obviously, but right now, I'd probably give this movie about a 9 or as close as to a 9 as possible. 8.999 to the fucking decimal. It's just a fantastic film all around, and the music, the ambiance, the fucking storytelling, the performances, the unraveling of the mystery, the progression, the pacing, the multiple endings, the visceralness of it. Yeah, man, I'd probably give it 9. Yeah, solid 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. RJ, Belly?
I don't know, 6.5, 7 maybe.
Damn, rough. Bentley?
I think it's a great movie. Pacing is really great. It builds up the storyline pretty nicely. You don't know exactly what's happening in the first 10 minutes of it. It just gives you all that there's a mystery to be solved.
Yeah.
This ancient mystery of the family and stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely hooks you in as it goes.
When you say ancient mystery, I feel the only times I've ever heard that term is literally a mystery for from centuries ago, where it's it's
an old family mystery.
Yeah. I don't know, because I hear ancient, I'm definitely thinking hundreds.
Yeah, it's not pyramids.
Yeah, it's definitely not pyramids.
It's an old family mystery that they're. Yeah.
The Roman clay shit, whatever, or whatever, any fucking wild structure from back then. How do they build this thing? So real quick, RJ, I know 7.5 isn't or 7.5, whatever you said, isn't a bad movie, but so was there things that you didn't like about that movie that just kind of gave you, or is it just you just didn't enjoy it that much to give it higher than that? 7.
No, I just didn't enjoy it as much as his other films.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you're gonna ask me let's watch a movie, let's watch a Fincher movie, I'm not gonna pick this one.
Right. Yeah. Totally. So what do you think you would have given it if you like? Let's say you've never seen any of Fincher's other movies. Where do you think you would like how you would rate it?
I don't know. Still about the same, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. But okay, yeah, this is shit. Yeah, this episode went on a little long. Obviously, that's on me, guys. Sorry about that. I'm just obsessed with this movie and everything about Fincher. So, any of his movies, I'll probably just kind of like ramble on a little bit. So, my bad about that, guys. If this is a little too long, but yeah, love this movie. Fantastic. Just again, neo noir mystery, fucked up. I don't know, another adjective for fucked up, a more classy adjective for fucked up. But yeah, highly recommend if you like any of those things, honestly. But if you are a bit squeamish or have unfortunately had like a similar past, it might be a really rough watch for you. Like that's like all I would say about that. I guess.
Honestly, I want to keep talking about the rape scene. But if you guys want to end the podcast, you can do that.
Yeah. Just a fucking hour talking about that one fucking scene.
Okay, guys. Top 3 rape
scene.
scenes in movies right now.
The Deliverance.
I actually never watched that movie, but
Scary Movie. Or Scary Movie 2.
it's a scary movie too with the clown.
Right.
Yeah.
And the ghost.
Oh right.
But I guess I wasn't raped. That
Yeah,
was
because she was.
consensual.
Yeah, she gets into it, so I don't know if we could call it
She
like.
might have raped the ghost.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah, definitely. I don't know why, but in my mind. Oh,
It's also
you
Evil
guys
Dead.
didn't watch it, but there is one in American History X that's pretty fucking.
I've seen American History.
Oh, you have seen American History? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pretty rough one too.
yeah. Because I know we were just joking about a top 3, but I did start thinking about like other rape scenes I've seen in movies, and I'm like, I can't really think of
Seen that
like
one.
many. And then yeah, American History X. That's.
I don't remember that one.
That is rough.
It's just a prison.
Prison rape scene.
typical
Yeah, it's a prison rape scene, yeah.
Gets raped in the showers
Probably
Yeah.
blocked that one out.
by a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah, American Me has a pretty rough one too. I know you guys definitely haven't seen that one, but it's pretty bad. But yep, all right, guys, that's our show. 3 hacks in a movie, right?
Three hacks in a movie.
Okay, 3 hacks in a movie. Yeah, I've been Emilio.
Bentley.
RJ.
All right, and we'll see y'all next time.